Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a brand new series that I'm hoping that you guys will really like. Don't worry, I know what you're all thinking, this is not Transport Fever 2. Don't worry, this will not interrupt our regularly scheduled Transport Fever 2 broadcast. This is going to be something that I want to try out. I want to try out playing some different games on here. They're going to be shorter episodes. I'll probably make a series of, several different games kind of going just when I get some free time. I like to play a lot of games. So this is Frostpunk. If you guys aren't familiar, it's been around for 2 or 3 years. I think it came out in like 2019. And I just want to, play through it. And if you guys enjoy seeing me play some other games other than Transport Fever, let me know. If you hate it, that's fine. Stick around for more Transport Fever. It'll be back, later this week. But if you enjoyed this content or you want me to try out other games, I love all things city builder, logistics simulator like Transport Fever, whatever you guys can think of, let me know. I'm more than happy to try them out. So let's go ahead and hop into Frostpunk. And we're just going to start right from the beginning, a new home. And I'll kind of explain what this game is about once we get into it, but I think you guys are really going to like it. Post-apocalyptic city builder, a lot of fun. We're just going to go with standard, difficulty. A new home, starting right at the beginning. And let's just hop in. So once this cutscene starts up, I will stop talking so that you guys can enjoy it, because this game has some awesome cutscenes that I think you guys are going to love. Again, if you haven't played it, it's called Frostpunk, and here we go.
We roam the still, cold world, no horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped of pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress. Until the frost stopped it all. Suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow. And with it, our last traces of humanity. We bid farewell to plenty, and for those who remained came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We roamed for weeks, maybe months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope that pushed us forward. Slowly, step by step. We knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
All right, guys, like I said, awesome cutscenes in this game. So here we go, a new home. We fled from London and crossed the sea to reach the frozen north. On our way, our convoy was hit by a blizzard and scattered. A handful of us managed to reach the site of this generator, only to find it frozen solid and abandoned. Why is no one here? Did any of our people survive the blizzard? Are there any others out there? Whatever we do, we should expect the worst. Now that the world as we know it has crumbled, we have to survive. So let's go ahead and hop into Frostpunk. So this is a really interesting game. I'm going to pause it here when we get started so that you guys can take a look at what we've got here. So, fight the cold. We need to get the generator working. Without it, we'll freeze to death. Okay. So basically the way that this game works, I'm going to pause it really quick, is we have this central generator here. And you can see that we can run it at different steam levels to provide heat to our growing little colony. We have a little stockpile, so we got a little bit of raw food, no actual food rations, as you can also see up here. We've got raw food, but we need to actually cook it so that people can eat it. Steel, wood, coal is going to be a big one, and then steam cores will be a little interesting later on. So basically kind of working across the top here, we got our resources, so those that I just talked about. We got our game speeds, we got our day, and we can see that there is a temperature drop coming up in about 4.5 days, so like right when the working day starts up here. If we click on the temperature up here, we actually open up our temperature map, and you can see that everything is currently chilly, so low risk of falling ill. Eventually, this whole map will be this dark purple, freezing, very high risk of falling ill, and that's when you need the generator running. You need to be providing heat. People need, homes to live in, heated working spaces, whatever it may be. So if we just go ahead and exit out of that. Down in the bottom left, we'll get some missions that we have. So right now we need to stockpile some coal, 0 of 200. You can see up here we have 0 coal. And we need to turn the generator on. So we got our building view down here where we can build all of our various buildings. We'll go through those kind of as they're applicable. We've got our book of laws, which allows us to set laws for the colony. And then we've got our economy menu here where we can kind of see like, how much coal we're consuming per day versus how much we're gathering, kind of like that. We've also got our population down here in the bottom right. So we've got 80 people, 65 of which can work. So we've got 50 unskilled laborers, we've got 15 engineers, and then we've got 15 children. So right now the children can't work. And I say right now because that's actually a law that we can change. Like if we go into this book of laws and we go into the adaptation, you can see up here, branching off here, we can either do child labor with child safe jobs. And you can see that, it'll have some negative effects and some positives, which is children can work. Or we could do child shelters, which means children will never be able to work. You can never repeal these laws once they're in effect. And that'll bring a lot of hope and people will love it, but then you have to care for the children. We have to start building these child shelters. The laws are great, and the laws are really grim. That's one thing about this game that I think is super cool, and that I think you guys are going to love. This game gets pretty dark pretty fast. Just going back to the other stuff, the engineers up here. There are certain jobs that only engineers or unskilled people can participate in. So for instance, when we set up if we come in here, we set up a medical post, only engineers can work in a medical post. If we go into tech, only engineers can work in the workshop. You know what I mean? There's certain things that only those who are skilled can do. So why don't we start off over here? We got some resources scattered on the ground. Must have been left behind by the people who were here previously. So we got some wood, we got some steel. Looks like we got a couple more wood over here, another steel. We got some coal. And then we also have some coal piles over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to max out a couple of these coal piles to start so we can start to get some coal. And then I'm also going to max out one of these wood piles. Maybe get the engineers on this other wood pile. And then we'll just get our 5 remaining unskilled workers on the steel. Steel, coal is priority so we can get this running, this generator. Wood is secondary. I would say it's still a top tier priority because we need to start building shelters. Steel, not so important. Steam cores, early on, not so important. They'll come into play later on. Food, I know it sounds crazy. We're not going to prioritize food right now. We will get to food, but for now, we just want to start to get these resources coming in so that we can actually get things running. And you'll see these people make their way out here to start working, and I love it. They leave these trails through the snow as they push their way through. And throughout the game, you'll get these little pop-ups here. So, a word of advice workers needed. There's so much to do and not enough hands to do it. A quick way of addressing this problem is to put our children to work. And it's saying you can open the Book of Laws to consider signing a child labor law to put the children to work, or we can just say not now. I'm going to say not now because I want to go into the Book of Laws and start off with emergency shifts up here. So sometimes we have to concentrate on the task at hand at the cost of everything else or die. So it allows you to introduce a new ability so we can force any facility to work for the next 24 hours. The negatives of this is that emergency shifts will raise discontent, and discontent overall will rise slightly. It's still super... So using the shift will raise discontent. Signing the law will raise discontent. I'm going to sign it anyway because it's super important. And that brings me down here to kind of the pivotal area of this game, which is managing your hope and your discontent. So you see that discontent, when I unpause here, is going to rise a little bit because of that controversial law that we just signed. And you'll see that we get people like Alan Scott here, work, work, work until you die, 24 hours on the job, insane, but that's our law. People are not happy about that law, but it's going to be necessary. And then we also have to balance our hope. So we can do other things that will raise hope. Oftentimes, fulfilling these objectives down here will gain you hope or lower discontent. We have a little tutorial up here. That's okay. We can get rid of that. So let's just let this run again. We'll go to max speed, and we'll let these guys start gathering resources. And I'm not going to turn the generator on until it gets to the night. So I'll just let people kind of work all day. The working hours, I think it's 8. It's like 08 to 18. Yeah, 1800.
End of shift.
So we'll pause real quick. We'll take a look at this. No roofs over our head. Captain, people are understandably concerned about the lack of shelter. They're falling ill from sleeping outside in this terrible cold. We'd better do something about it. So I'm going to say that we'll provide shelter to everyone. And you kind of see, so I'll provide some shelter. We have 2 days to provide shelter for 40 people. If I say everyone, I mean everyone. So I've got 2 days to provide shelter for everybody. Obviously, higher risk, higher reward. So I'm going to take this, I'll provide shelter to everybody. And you can see if I say I'm not going to address it, discontent will just rise. If I take the shelter for everybody and I fulfill it inside the 2 days, I'll get a huge bonus, you know, relative speaking. But if I don't fulfill it, I'll get a bad bonus. So if you're kind of on the fence, maybe take the less risky of the options, or just say, you know what, I can't do it right now. And you're going to find that a lot in this game. So I'm going to say I'll provide shelter for everybody. And we're going to come in here. Each of these can hold 10, so we'll build 8, just right off the bat. And don't worry about kind of blocking stuff in. They can walk in between. And then something to consider about building. Things are only built by idle workers. So nobody's working right now because it's free time. So you're going to see they'll all hop on here and start building. Another thing that I want to get up and running right away is a medical post. And we'll come in here and we'll turn this on to Steam level 1. And get that core running. Okay, so we fulfilled those 2 objectives. 200 coal in reserve and get the generator running. So the generator hums with reassuring warmth, but we shouldn't take it for granted. If the generator goes down, the city dies. Be mindful of coal reserves. Be mindful of coal reserves. If I can say anything, it's that you need coal. Now, food. There will be no city if we starve to death. Secure a way to provide raw food and build a cookhouse to prepare meals. So let's go ahead and do that. A word of advice, the wisdom of the crowd. Captain, when facing the demands, remember this, people usually look for the quickest solution, not the best one. You don't always have to agree with everything they ask for. If you fix the problem your way, it's fine. Okay. So let's just go ahead and pause this real quick. You can see we got 43 wood to work with. Hunters' huts, so if we go to the food tab, Hunters' huts will provide raw food. The cookhouse will cook that food. So what I'm going to do here, so if you look at buildings here, most buildings kind of fit in this like two tile deep. Here, if I use a road to demonstrate. So 2 roads deep. So if we go 2 more roads, we can fit another building in there. 2 more roads, the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use roads here to actually measure out some space. Because we have some buildings that don't really require heat. So I'm going to use 2 roads to measure out maybe 3. I'll go 1 more, 4. Screw it, let's put these far out. And now I'm just going to take this road off to the side. And then just add a little road out there just so that everything lines up nice. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a hunter's hut in that space so that we can start to get a little bit of raw food coming in. Now, we're going to need a cookhouse, which needs 20 wood, and there's nothing I can do for now until we get that, until we get more wood during tomorrow's shift. But they'll be okay. They'll last overnight without food. So you see, we fulfilled that shelter promise, and we're going to get a little hope bump, which is good. And that discontent, the discontent will fade over time. So just something to be mindful of. So now let's take a look. If you hover over your little workers down here, it'll show you where everyone's working. And what I'm looking for is our engineers. So we've got engineers over here. I'm going to take 5 of them away so that I can put them, and you can see that this medical post, you can only put engineers in it. So I'm going to put 5 engineers in here. If you want, you can kind of go see, who's working in it. You can see who the patients are. So we got 1 child and we got 1 worker. So not an engineer, just a worker. And they're both going to treatment. You can also see we got 2 sick here. No gravely sick yet. So I'm going to do that. And now we can introduce a new law. And I recommend, whenever this is available, to always introduce a law. And I'm going to go straight to extended shift, which allows me to make any facility work for 14 hours just daily. Just that as its base amount, they'll work 14 hours.
A new law has passed.
Now we need to get some workers up here getting some raw food for us. So again, we'll hover over this and kind of think we've got a lot of coal. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take all the workers off this coal, and I'm going to put them in there so that they can go get some food. And now we'll speed this back up. So now, if we pause and we go into our heat map, you see that building all that shelter and actually turning on the generator makes all of these comfortable. The reason that I built this hunter's hut all the way out here is that this doesn't require... this doesn't have a temperature requirement. Like, people aren't going to get sick if they're working in here and it's super cold. Because what this is these hunters actually leave. They go off, I don't know how they get up the ice walls here, but they actually go off and, gather food and hunt. So this doesn't actually need to be in heat, which is why I kind of put it all the way out here, in case any of you guys were wondering. So let's go ahead and let this run again. At 6 o'clock, I think, maybe 8 o'clock is when they start up. Yep, so they'll go out at 8, and you can see that we're starting to gather stuff. So let's get a cookhouse. Cookhouse... I'm going to put it out here just because it doesn't really fit. And that'll be okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the cookhouse out here. You're probably going to think I'm crazy, but it's going to be fine. Next thing I want to get is one of these workshops. So we need 15 wood and 5 steel for that. We got the steel, we're just waiting on the wood. So now we'll grab a workshop. And if you hit your center mouse button, you can actually rotate these buildings. So I'm going to rotate these around. I'm going to build one of them right there. So it's still in the, the heat area of this heater. And those will get built once people stop working for the day. So if you click on your hunter's hut, you'll see how often we're getting food coming in. So we just got a load of raw food. And these guys will just kind of work the whole time until they can get some food. So I'm going to take 5 engineers off of this wood pile so that we can get them into this workshop. Okay, so people from our convoy. With basic resources secure for now, we can try to rescue people left behind. Build a beacon. Scout out Frostland and save as many survivors from our expedition as possible. You need a workshop. Okay. We preempted it a little bit. We got a workshop. And what that means is now we have our tech tree. So I just exited out of it. It appears right here next to your construction. And you've got all these different areas. So the beacon, this is what they want us to research. We could rush straight to that. For now, I might go with faster gathering. It allows people to just gather faster from these various little piles. And it's good to get early on while you still got these piles around, because they'll deplete. So if we go over here, this one only has 141 coal left, whereas these fresh ones that we haven't touched yet have 500. And we want to kind of gather that as fast as we can. We also want to think about getting some workers into that cookhouse. So you can see now how this gets a little interesting. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take 5 off of this coal. And I'm going to put 5 in there. Maybe I'll just put 2 in there. Just 2. Where did these 13 extra... Oh, we must have cleared a pile. Yeah, we cleared this this wood pile, and they just went back to work. So why don't I throw the extra ones on this pile? So now we got 15 there, and then I'll throw the extra ones onto that steel. Anyway, let's get something researched. I think, again, I'm going to go with faster gathering. And you can see it's going to take 7 hours at 100% research rate to research. So it'll virtually take not quite a full workday, but half a workday. One thing I am going to do, I'm going to shift this to extended hours so that they just work from 06 to 2000. So 6 in the morning to 8 at night. And we can also set a new law. So let's come in here. I'm going to set soup. And obviously you can tell I've played this game, but if you kind of want to read around, so food additives versus soup. Food additives, basically, we add sawdust to our meals to make them more filling, which sounds fantastic. I would love to eat, sawdust slop. That'd be great. The big reason I don't like sawdust, basically what these do is it allows you to get more food, more edible food, quote unquote, out of your raw food. The reason I don't love the sawdust is because this bottom one right here, some people eating sawdust meals will fall ill. I don't want that. So I'm going to go with soup. It'll still give us extra food per raw food, extra edible food per raw food, but people will get a little unhappy about it. You can turn it on and off, so if you've got a ton of raw food, you can just go back to regular food, and then people will be happy or content. But, in a pinch, you can go with soup, and you can make a little bit extra food. Make your food stretch a little bit, so we're going to go with soup.
Listen, everyone.
And if we come up here, it automatically changes it for you, and I'm going to leave it on soup for now. I'm going to let them make soup. And I might give these guys an emergency shift. You can see that bumps up discontent a lot, but we really have to get some food in here. So we're just going to start getting the food in right away. And now we'll let this run. And you can see that they're making food, and people are starting to eat it just as fast as they're making it. That's why I'm doing soup, because I really need this. And you can see all those people just flocked up there to get the food. But we really need this food to be made, as fast as we can, so that people can actually eat it. Anyway, so we'll speed this up a little bit. At 06, you can see that this starts, and we're going to start researching pretty fast. And now 08, everybody else goes to work. Okay, so we got an issue here. People from our convoy, family turn apart. Sir, a woman came forward after we built the workshop. She said that her husband and daughter didn't reach the city with the main group, but she's sure they're still out there. She wants to join the first scout team we'll send out. She urges you to hurry. We'll do all that we can. So let's go ahead and speed this up. And you can see we're ripping through our faster gathering tech, which is good. So we'll pause. We just got faster gathering, and now we'll go and we'll get that beacon. So this is going to take 7 hours, so we're probably not going to get it done today. Maybe? I don't know. We'll have to see how on the nose they are. But you can see we got 15 workers because we just finished that wood pile. So why don't we come down here and add all of our workers onto this wood pile so that they get gathering a little bit. And you can see now this has no one in it because we've cooked all of our food, which is great. I'm going to take this down to 1 worker just so that they can kind of cook whatever comes in right away. You can see we just depleted a coal pile, so we got 15 more available. I'll send them over to this one. Let's see, we can introduce a new law. So let's come in here. I'm gonna save the child law because I want you guys to comment what you want me to do. Should the children work or should we build them shelters? You guys are gonna have to decide. I'm not gonna decide for you. You're just gonna have to decide. So I'm gonna go with our medical treatment law. So we can sustain life. So the gravely ill will be kept alive but untreated in medical posts. Hope will rise slightly. The gravely ill will not be treated and remain a burden, and they will take up beds in the medical post. Radical treatment, on the other hand, gravely ill will be treated in the medical post. 30% of gravely ill treated in the medical post will be left as amputees, which then can't work, and we have to essentially take care of them. And whenever this happens, discontent will rise. So it's kind of... I'm going to go with radical treatment because that means that 70% will be able to get back to work. So let's go with radical treatment here.
Hear me. New law in the city.
And now we'll let this run again. And we're just about... Yeah, so we got the beacon done right before hours close. So let's go ahead and build the beacon. We can build this way far out of the way. So I'll probably build it out here. Just know that wherever you build this, you're going to have to build a road to connect it up. So we'll just connect that up and people will go out and start building that. We can also get our next tech queued up. So why don't we go with hunter's gear? It allows our hunters, they'll bring back 20 raw food per hunt instead of only 15. Other things that are great, working down this coal. Yeah, I don't really want to go for the coal thumper. I'll probably just wait until we get the second tier here to get coal mining. Hunter's gear is good. Heaters are also good. I'm going to go with... Let's take a look here. Okay, so we got our temperature's going to drop here in just a little bit. So we got a pretty good amount of food here. So why don't I build a couple gathering posts? And essentially what this allows you to do is gather resources. It allows you to provide a little bit of heat to gather resources. So why don't I go ahead and put a gathering post down here. And then I'll go ahead and put another one here. And we'll just connect those up. So we still got 31. We need to figure out what we want to do. I'm going to go with hunter's gear for the next day. So let's get this all set up. They're going to build these, which is great. And we're going to get this temperature drop. So it's going to drop 2 levels. Okay, so the beacon is built. It's pretty cool. It's like a giant hot air balloon lighthouse, which is pretty cool. We raise it up out of our cavern and people can see it. And that's going to let us start to search the map. So let's just wait for this cutscene to end, and then I'll show you kind of how this game is going to change a little bit. So now we got this map. We got a lost expedition and a gloomy cave that we can search. So if we want to go to the lost expedition, we need some scouts. So to get scouts, we need 40 wood, which we currently don't have, and we need 5 unoccupied workers. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to take all of these workers out of here. I'm going to take all of these workers out of here, and then I'm just going to max out these gathering posts so that people can work in a bit of, I don't want to say comfort, but in a heated environment. Come in here. I also want to build another workshop, so we'll go ahead and do that. And then with this temperature drop coming in, I'm going to take these workers off the steel. Because these guys will be able to gather a little bit of steel down here, so we'll just have some vacant workers for now. And we can go ahead and let this run. Alright, let's take a look at what this is. Ready to search. Okay, yeah. So we need to send out some volunteers. Volunteers have lined up, eager to go looking for our lost people in Frostland. The woman who came forward earlier is among them. Okay. So let's just speed this up a little bit. I'll show you this first temperature drop. We'll get some scouts, and then we will send them out to start working, and that will probably bring us to the end here. So let's add another 5 workers in here to speed up our research time. And you can see the temperature is going to drop very quickly. So now we're at minus 40. So if we go into this temperature view now, you can see that all of our houses are chilly, which provides a low risk of getting cold, of getting ill. Now, some of these facilities, on the other hand, are just straight up cold, which is a moderate risk of falling ill. Still not terrible, but it's not great. So, what I think I'm going to do... I can't bring this up to Steam Level 2 yet. We need to research it. So we're just going to let this run. And you can see that this is actually too cold to operate at all. So we're going to take our worker out of there. These guys will still work. Hunter's gear is researched, so what we're going to do, we're going to research heaters, and then we're going to research the next tech level. We're just going to wait until we got 40 wood, and then send out our next party. And I just want to make sure I have no engineers. I hate to say it, but, you know, if workers... Okay, so we got heaters. So now we can go into these buildings. I'm going to turn the heater on in both of these. And what that's going to do... I'm also going to turn it on in these workshops. What that's going to do now is bring these temperatures up. So now these are just cold. Just cold. And now these are actually livable. So our engineers... And I'll turn on the medical bay as well. The only thing that this does, though, to keep in mind, if we go into economy, for coal, we're still gaining coal. But now with that added coal that's being used by the heaters, it's getting a little bit closer. So we're just going to have to keep that in mind. Okay, so we got 41 wood. So let's go ahead and get some scouts. And we're going to send them to this lost expedition. And you can see it's going to take them 10 hours and 48 minutes to get there. And I think that's where we're going to leave this one, guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying the series. Again, this is Frostpunk, post-apocalyptic city builder. If you guys are enjoying it, please like the video. I would love to get some enthusiasm to play some other games on this channel. If you're not enjoying it, I mean, if you stuck around this long and you're not enjoying it, I'm pretty surprised. Thank you. But again, this will not interrupt the normal Transport Fever 2 videos. Those will still be coming out as often as I can make them. I just love playing other games. And I want to introduce you guys to some other more unique city builders that maybe you haven't played. So if you want to check this out, I think they're already making a Frostpunk 2. So who knows when that's going to come out. When it does, definitely going to play it. This game is awesome. And again, I want you guys to let me know. Child law. Do we want the children to work, or do we want to put them in shelters and take care of them? You know, obviously, I don't know. If you guys don't pick one, I'm just going to have to pick one, and we'll see how it goes. Obviously, child shelters, it's going to be harder, because now we got to take care of the kids, and they can't work. Child labor, obviously we get more people to work. So just let me know what you want me to do in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.